Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Judiciary Committee hearing this Friday morning, April 10, and we're here in room 016. This is a this is an appointees, nominees, governor's message agenda. If we have a wild technical failure on the Zoom side, we'll try again a week from now, April 17 at 10 a.m. here in room 016, and hopefully it won't be raining. So it's 2-minute time limit on testimony for those in person and on Zoom. And on Zoom, you won't be able to, your audio will be muted and your video blanked out until it's your turn. So first up on our 10 o'clock agenda is Governor's Message 572, submitting for consideration and confirmation Commission on the Status of Women gubernatorial nominee Kirsten Walker for a term to expire 6/30/2026. First up on GM 572 is Yasmin Cheney for the Hawaii State Commission on the Status of Women.
Admitting them right now, Chair.
Well, she's on Zoom.
It's coming in
Yes,
by
Chair.
Zoom.
Good.
Will you be able to call them again, Chair?
Yasmin Cheney for the Hawaii State Commission on the Status of Women. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. So sorry, I just got the link. Yasmin Cheney from the Hawaii State Commission on the Status of Women. I stand on our written testimony in support of the governor's nomination of Kirsten Walker to be our new commissioner from Oahu. Kiki and I have worked a little bit this past year, and it's been a real pleasure. She's motivated and diligent, and I'm really looking forward to being able to collaborate with her in the future. So thank you so much for your consideration and support.
Thank you very much. Next up is Michael Loyo Jr. for the testifying for Hawaii State LGBTQ Plus Commission. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Aloha Friday. Michael Galoyo Jr., he, him pronouns. I am vice chair of the Hawaii State LGBTQ Plus Commission. We stand in full support of Kiki's nomination to the Hawaii State Commission on the Status of Women. We know that she has done great things and will continue to do great things. And Hawaii is lucky to have her to serve in this capacity. So we encourage you to support her nomination and see her through. Mahalo for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you very much. Next is Kealoha Ila Wilkerson for Salted Logic in support. And then there's a list of individuals all in support, totals 19 in support, 0 opposed, 0 comments. Is there anyone else here
Yes.
on? Did I miss somebody? Oh, I'm sorry. Sergio Acobiola, sorry. Good morning.
Good morning, Senator. Chair, Vice Chair, my name is Sergio Alcobilli. I'm here in my individual capacity. I just wanted to offer in-person testimony in support of Kiki Walker's confirmation for the Hawaii status on the Commission of Women. We just came out of a press conference asking for accountability on the Epstein files, on the Epstein Act, and it's to me just even more apparent why someone of Kiki's quality is much needed on the commission. I'm really grateful that we do have something here in Hawaii for the Commission on the Status of Women. It's very much needed, and especially in these times. And, as a father to a 14-year-old girl, I'm grateful to have someone of Kiki's caliber on this commission. And thank you again for considering her nomination.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, braving the rain. Anyone else like to testify on GM 572, either here or in person?
That's the nominee.
That's the nominee. Okay. Seeing none members, any questions for Mr. Cool before he leaves? I guess not. Okay. All right. Ms. Walker, would you like to make an opening statement? Go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for the testimony time and the opportunity to speak. So aloha, Chair Rhodes, Vice Chair Gabbard, and distinguished members of the committee. My name is Kiki Walker, and I am deeply honored to be considered for a seat on the Commission on the Status of Women. I come before you today as a dedicated community advocate with nearly a decade of experience serving the people of Hawaii. My work is driven by the fundamental belief that a safer and more equitable Hawaii is the only truly possible when we center our efforts on those who have been pushed to the margins of our society. For many years, my professional and personal life has existed at the vital intersections of justice, care, and community-led initiatives. This path has been deeply informed by my lived experiences and the wisdom of those I have served in the community. Working alongside women, gender diverse individuals, and folks navigating the complex challenges of homelessness, domestic violence, and substance use, I have seen the true meaning of community. These experiences have taught me our connections to each other are the cornerstone of resilience. I have witnessed this immense strength firsthand through my volunteer street-based outreach with Swap Hawai'i, where we meet people exactly where they are at. This coming June, I will further my commitment to building deep pilina with our community by leading a creative writing project at the Women's Community Correctional Center. My primary goal on this commission is to advocate for just policies and ensure that the voices currently missing from the table are heard and respected. As I progress through my graduate studies to prepare for law school, my focus remains steadfast. I am committed to ensuring the reproductive and gender diverse healthcare, securing rights for criminalized communities, and building the lasting infrastructure necessary to end violence against all women and girls on our islands. I'm eager to leverage my extensive community experience to serve this commission and support its goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? I can start out. So in your observation, what has the Commission on the Status of Women done well in the past, and what do you think what the commission can improve on in the future?
In my position, I feel like the Commission on the Status of Women has done a really great job at supporting community initiatives that overall support the wellness for women and girls, working alongside community nonprofits like DBAC and other supportive services, I think is something they've done really well. I've also seen their work around studies around violence and things that are affecting women and girls in the community. I think a continuation of those types of studies, I know the Hawai'i Abortion Coalition and some of the other boards that they're working on are trying to get that information. I think continuing to provide just those statistics will help us further be able to support legislation that's going to be able to bring our community to a safer space. In addition to that, I think just being involved and uplifting initiatives led by and for women in the community is something that they should prioritize and have done in the past.
Okay, thank you. Members, other questions? All right, thank you very much for being here, and we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is GM 685. This is submitting for consideration and confirmation Board of Registration of the Island of Oahu gubernatorial nominee Aria Castillo for a term to expire June 30th, 2030. First up on GM 685 is Ann Freed for the Hawaii Democratic Party Women's Caucus. In support, Bevan Parker Evans for Women's Caucus Democratic Party. In support, Chris Caulfield in person or maybe on Zoom.
No, present, Chair.
Michael Galoyo Jr.
Good morning again. Michael Galoyo Jr., he, him pronouns. I'm here in my personal capacity to advocate for Aria. I've known Aria for many years. Hawaii is lucky to have her to step forward to do this uncompensated work volunteering for the state. She is very busy, so I was really surprised that she was willing to do this volunteer work for the state. We are lucky to have her. So I encourage everybody to support her nomination and pass her through. And I'm available for any questions. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next is Gregory Masakian, also on Zoom.
Not present, Chair.
In support. That's everyone who signed up for this measure. There's a number of individuals in support. The total count is 24 in support, 0 opposed, 0 comments. Members, any questions for the testifiers to this point? Okay, seeing none, let's see, is the nominee here, Aria Castillo? Oh yeah, there you are. Good morning, and you're welcome to make an opening statement.
Aloha, thank you so much. My name is Aria Juliet Castillo. I'm honored to be here today for consideration to serve on the Board of Registration. I was born and raised in Kauai. I went to college in Los Angeles, came back home in 2012. After moving back, I became involved in local politics, advocating for county council issues and volunteering on mayoral and state legislative campaigns. Through that work, I quickly fell in love with civic engagement, but also saw firsthand how confusing and inaccessible the process was for so many people, especially my peers. I would talk to them and find out that they were so concerned about their future, but were unsure about how to participate and felt like their voices weren't really being heard or reflected in decision making. That experience really shaped my commitment to demystifying the political process and helping people understand that their participation actually matters and the barrier to entry is really low just after you get over a couple hurdles. I'm a founding board member of Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Action, where I now serve as the Reclaiming Democracy Program Director. About 10 years ago, we launched a program called Kuleana Academy, a leadership development program that I continue to run today. It focuses on helping everyday people engage in the political process, encourages them to step up and run for office as well. Before that, I organized some grassroots voter registration drives. I spent time at farmers markets, concerts, political marches, helping register people to vote. I learned all this from my mother, who previously worked at the Office of Elections doing voter registration drives. Through that work, I developed a very strong understanding of the voter registration requirements, residency rules, what a self-affirming affidavit means, and the importance of handling sensitive information. Since moving to Oahu in 2016, I continued my involvement and got a little bit more involved with the Democratic Party of Hawaii. I've worked on membership and voter records, furthering strengthening my understanding of precincts, districts, residential address versus a mailing address, and the other nuances that come with voter data and understanding like what you're registered to vote means. In my current role at HAPA, I focus on a lot of good government initiatives, expanding voter access, supporting automatic voter registration, strengthening campaign finance laws, and improving our publicly financed system. At the core of this work, it's a simple goal, ensuring that our democracy is accessible, fair, and responsive to the people. I chose to apply for the Board of Registration because I've seen how vacancies can stall essential processes. Even if challenges are rare, when they do arise, they should be handled and addressed very quickly, especially given our tight timelines around elections. I believe that my background in voter engagement, my experience handling this kind of information, and commitment to fair and impartial decision-making makes me perfect suited for this role. Thank you for the opportunity to be considered and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Members, questions? Well, there's a couple of questions I have. So the statute that covers boards of registration, they don't require nonpartisanship, which is different than the Office of Elections, where you're not supposed to be partisan. So the question I have is, I'll give you a couple hypotheticals. So say there's someone who is likely to be a Republican who there's a question about whether they were standing in line by the time the polls closed. Are you, even if it's to your, even if you're in your partisan hat, you would prefer that person not vote? Are you willing to follow the law, or do you commit to following the law and be fair about people getting their right to vote, even if you don't approve or think that that voting in person is as important as they do?
I would absolutely fight for the right to vote. I would advocate that even if an elections official sees someone coming out of their car and running up to the ballot box at 7 o'clock, that person should be considered in line. I think it's really important to make sure that every single person has the opportunity to vote, whether it's in person or vote by mail. I've been pretty adamant about expanding our options for in-person voting and strengthening and supporting our online voter, our mail-in voting options as well. And just because someone appears to be a Republican, there's no voter data in the registration that would say that as a fact, and party membership rolls are private, so I wouldn't have access to that information anyway. And, besides party politics, Hawaii elections are broad and nonpartisan many of the time, so absolutely support their right to vote.
Okay, so the flip question is, we have a law that says that your mail-in ballot has to arrive by the day of the election, and which is kind of not really the election's a month long these days, but the last election day. If you got one that was clearly late, would you disqualify it?
What do you mean? I would receive it as clearly late, that it arrived in the
If the argument was about whether it had arrived on you know, if it arrived at 12:01 a.m. the next day somehow, I forget exactly what the deadline is. I think it's actually 7 p.m. for the ballots too. So if it arrived at 7:03 p.m., would you disqualify it as being? I'm not sure what the rule is, but
yeah. So for those examples, if it was dropped off in the ballot box at 7:03 p.m., I trust that the Office of Elections is like closing those boxes off for access at 7 o'clock. If by any chance they hadn't closed that off, that would be a little bit concerning to me that they allowed it to be open and then leave in question if that ballot was validated. But also, I'm not sure how we would prove that if it was dropped off in a ballot box location that isn't manned and didn't have any surveillance on it. So that would definitely be a little bit harder to judge whether the validity of them means that they're dropping it off at 7:03 and what actually happened.
Well, I think that, I mean, it's a challenge. It would be a challenge. It would be, you know, this ballot's not valid because it was dropped off too late. Would you, if the evidence indicated that it was dropped off too late, what would you do?
Then it's not valid.
Okay. That's
If
what I
there was,
wanted to hear.
if there was straight evidence that that actually happened, yes.
Okay, understood. All right, members, other questions?
Yeah,
Let's entertain one of them. Go ahead.
So I admire your activism in HAPA, and my concern is this is an election year, and if you are confirmed, do you feel that you are going to need to be silenced in order to silence your activism for HAPA candidates in the event that you get confirmed? Just because I expect that the election, no matter what the results are going to be challenged, just because of the high partisanship that is occurring in our country.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I just want to clarify, HAPA is a 501c3 organization. We don't support, endorse, or financially offer any money to any candidates. We're strictly an educational purpose only organization. So our work with candidates ends before they even sign up and register to become candidates. And I don't offer any personal support or HAPA either for any candidates at all.
Okay, so you don't think that you need to silence any kind of activism because you're saying that HAPA is not active because during this election year?
Yeah, we don't endorse candidates, so we're not supporting candidates. We don't send out endorsement lists. We don't promote any candidates in our mailings or anything like that.
Even though the Kuleana Academy trains candidates?
Yep. It's open to anyone to participate. We don't have any, litmus tests. We don't have any partisan requirements. We're nonpartisan, so we don't talk about party politics, and that information is not something that we would judge anyone for.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? All right, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to the next GM, which is GM 686, submitting for reconsideration and confirmation of Board of Registration of the Island of Hawaii, gubernatorial nominee Jonathan Simons for term to expire 6/30/2030. First up on GM 686 is Jeanette Gurung in support. Miley Lavea Maloya in support. Jackie Keith in support. DeAndrea Makakoka in support. Denaya Moran in support. Aria Juliet Castillo on Zoom. You're still here. Good morning again.
To give a strong recommendation for Jonathan Simmons to also serve on this Board of Registration for Hawaii Island. I think we kind of applied at the same time. We both noticed there was a lot of vacancies, and I'm glad he stepped up to serve because I think that his thoughtful and analytical approach to issues will be well served here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Morgan Tooch, also in support. And that's all. That's everybody who signed up on GM 686. Does anyone else wish to testify on GM 686? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, members, any questions for Ms. Castillo? If not, we will, the nominee is here. There you are. Good morning. You're welcome to make an opening statement.
Good morning. Thank you so much, and good morning to the committee. Members, my name is Jonathan Simons. I live in Hilo and work for the County of Hawaii as a civil engineer in the Department of Environmental Management, Wastewater Division. I'm honored to be considered for a seat on the Board of Registrations for the island of Hawaii. I'm passionate about civics and good governance. I believe that the vote is one of the most important rights as citizens, and I see the function of the Board of Registrations as defending that right primarily in two ways. The first is ensuring that those eligible to vote can and are not disenfranchised by improper challenges or fear of challenges. So this issue is near and dear to my heart. My mother was an attorney for the United States Department of Justice in the 80s and 90s, enforcing the Voting Rights Act. And making sure that Black Americans and minorities could not be intimidated away from the polls or legislated away from them. To be clear, I understand that the Board of Registrations does not set policy, and I have no delusions in this regard or ambition to set policy here, but I recognize that my role would be to apply policy, and I believe that a strong mechanism for applying the existing policy is critical to individuals' willingness to register to vote and express their right to vote. As well as for our general confidence in the results and outcomes of elections. The second, and I think perhaps more common way that the Board of Registrations defends the franchise is by ensuring that our votes are counted and weighted appropriately and not improperly diluted by votes that should not have been cast, right? So if, for example, an individual were to register in multiple jurisdictions or vote under the name of a deceased relative in order to vote multiple times, that action effectively disenfranchises all other voters by reducing the weight of their single ballot. So while I personally don't believe necessarily that this is a particularly common problem, I do believe unequivocally that it should not happen. And as a member of the Board of Registrations, I would be firm in ensuring that those not properly registered that those challenges are upheld as well, so that everybody else's votes count appropriately and properly. With the current rhetoric surrounding elections, I think that this is the time to build strong voting institutions and instill confidence in the results of our elections. So enforcing the existing rules in a time where, as Senator San Bonaventura said, challenges seem possible. We want to make sure that people believe that we are hearing and listening to those challenges, and that the vote that we get, the tally that we get at the end of the day is fair and accurate, and that their voice has been heard. So that would be my goal. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Members, questions? So did you hear the exchange between the committee and the prior nominee, Ms. Castillo?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess I don't think I need to go through the hypotheticals again, but I do need your commitment to just say that I need your commitment to be fair and, don't worry about as long as the voting law is enforced the way it's supposed to be, don't worry about the partisan consequences. Is that something you can commit to?
Yes, Senator, absolutely. So, I absolutely am committed to applying policy fairly without regard to any type of prejudice, whether party or race, sex, religion, etc.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Members, other questions? Okay. If not, thank you very much. And we'll go ahead and go into the voting. First up on this agenda was GM 572, submitting for consideration and confirmation of the Commission on the Status of Women, gubernatorial nominee Kirsten Walker for term to expire June 30th, 2026. Recommendation is to advise and consent. Questions or concerns? If not, Senator Gabbard.
On GM 572, Chair's recommendation is to advise and consent. Chair Rhodes.
Aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Chang. Excused. Senator San Buenaventura.
Aye.
Senator Owa.
Aye.
Measure is adopted.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thanks for your willingness to serve. Next up is Governor's Message 685, submitting for consideration and confirmation the Board of Registration of the Island of Oahu, gubernatorial nominee Aria Castillo for a term to expire 6/30/2030. Recommendation here also is to advise and consent. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Are any no votes or reservations for those members that are present? Hearing none, the measure is adopted.
Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you too for being willing to serve. Next is GM 686, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Board of Registration of the Island of Hawaii, gubernatorial nominee Jonathan Simons. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure I'm mispronouncing. Saying it. It is Simons. Okay. For a term to expire June 30th, 2030. Recommendation here is to advise and consent. Questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Okay, are there any no votes or reservations on GM 686? Hearing none, the measure is adopted.
Thank you. Congratulations. And thank you for being willing to serve. We are adjourned.